So this video was originally made, or is originally made for Medway runners. Put it to a vote, and it turns out that shins and calves are the most commonly injured areas for runners. So I'm going to do a video tutorial on how to rehab these areas from a very generic perspective. So we're not going to go into too much detail as to what particular diagnosis for each area is, but I'm going to give you a guideline on how to offload the area and how to improve its function. So if we start with the calves and the shins first, and then we'll go on to the knees and the hips, which come out second. The calves, when you're running, are generally there to propel you forward by pushing the limb back. So what I mean by that is, if I push backwards with my hip, the calf is then going to carry on that range of motion. Now, the way that the calf can become overloaded is if I can't push back from the hip as much as I should be able to, so therefore my calf does more. Or alternatively, if it's just placed under too much load from too much mileage. So, first principle to rehab your calves is to offload them. So what you want to do is take a rest for a week or 2 weeks, or whichever your health practitioner prescribes. But in that time, you don't want to rest your whole cardiovascular system or your whole body. So you want to pick up something else, and this could be sprint work, if sprint work is not aggravative of your calf. And you can also, the rowing machine, I think, is fantastic because it's a really, really good way to change your cardiovascular system without overloading your calf. So we've got this period of time where we're not going to be chronically loading the calf, which means that we can acutely load it to stimulate a strength change. So if that area of the body is stronger, then it's going to be more resilient to damage. And the way that we can do this is very simply with calf raises. So you want to place your foot off the edge of a stair. And first of all, to make it nice and easy, you're going to go up and down on both feet, making sure that the heel actually goes below the step. After that, you can start to go up on both legs and go down on one, and repeat. And then once you get really good at it, one leg up and down, up and down. You want to keep to a rep range of 15 to 20, which is applicable for long distance runners. So we're trying to build muscular endurance and tolerance to load. As well as this, you can start to look at different movement drills to improve hip extension. So a really good drill that I like to prescribe is bounding, and you'll see a video of this now, and you'll see that the person who is bounding is trying to propel themselves forward as much as possible. They're having to contract their glutes, i.e. their hip extensors, as much as possible to drive the foot back. And the more that you can do this, the more you offload the calf. But as well as this, and with any running injury, you can also look into cadence, so how many steps that person is taking to travel a certain distance. If you reduce it by running quite quietly, that's a common movement cue, you reduce the trauma or the impact going through the calf. However, if you elongate your cadence, you actually reduce the volume of impact going through your calf. And by playing around with this, by trying to reduce your stride versus increasing your stride whilst you're running, you can start to offload. Next body part, the shins. So the idea of the shin or the shin muscle is to try and clear the ground as you're going forward. So once again, talking about compensation, if my hip drive, i.e. my ability to bring my knee up whilst I'm running, if that's lacking, then my dorsiflexors, i.e. my shin muscles, are going to have to draw my foot closer to my shin to clear the ground when I'm running. So once again, the bounding drill is really, really effective for trying to offload the shin bone, because of the shin muscles, because we're attempting to increase hip drive or increase hip flexion whilst we're running. Strengthening exercises aren't really needed for the shin muscles. The reason why is because they're not really performing against resistance. It's more of a coordination thing whilst you're running. Simple stretches for your shin muscles and for your calf are simple. Standing up against the wall, trying to take your heel to the ground, and for the shin, to simply just try and draw your foot away from your shin. So then it leads us on to knees and hips. The most common injuries I see for the knees when I see runners is patellofemoral inflammation, which is inflammation just behind the kneecap, and as well as that jumper's knee, which is inflammation of the quadriceps tendon. And once again, we need to offload these areas, but strengthen them and improve their functionality. So to offload, once again, get on the rowing machine and start to rest from running, at least for a week or 2 weeks, whatever your health practitioner prescribes. The most common way that the knee is loaded is actually connected to the hip. So if you ever ask someone to do a one leg squat, ideally you should see their knee track out along their foot and up again. However, what I commonly see with people who have patellofemoral inflammation is that as they go down, the knee will come in. And if you're doing that whilst you're running, i.e. when you're running, if your knees are coming in chronically, repetitively, then that can place a little bit too much load on the quadriceps. So by practicing the one leg squat, or even a pistol squat, or a Bulgarian split squat, if we get a few videos up, so you'll see a Bulgarian split squat, or a one leg squat here, or sorry, a pistol squat, you can start to challenge that movement drill. As well as that, you can also do hip raises to try and increase hip strength. But once again, bounding will educate your hips and your knees and your ankles to go for a fuller range of motion, offloading each area. So I hope this video has been of use. If you need any more questions answered, then please let me know. Good rule of thumb, whenever you've got an injury, a lot of people put heat on it. Don't worry about the heat, we want to reduce the inflammation. So to do that, try and take some ibuprofen and apply ice through a damp towel to the area for 20 minutes per hour for 3 hours. Let me know how you get on, and once again, as we always say, if you need any more help, then just book an appointment at the clinic and we'll see you then.